So then, we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage, so then we can understand, per the prophecies, then what's coming during this time of the restoration period, and we can understand the time of the end, then period Mashiyach the prophet. He stated in a section related with the restoration period, then we find a layer of understanding there where we find obviously the area related with the returning of the cities of the Mashiyach laid waste for many centuries. Let's try to understand what this means. As we understand, 2009 had ended. Thus, the time of the seat of 1,000 years then ended. Then the angel, when he spoke with Daniel, said knowledge would increase, and then would start the time of the dragon. When we speak of the Gentile level, we speak of the time of the dragon. When we speak of tabernacling, we are during the time of the restoration. Both of them, they have to work simultaneously. So then, what can we expect as far as education? Let's understand there is a topic, for instance, in Australia, where then the Prime Minister has decided a huge amount of money spent in education. Bad news. What she's trying to do won't work. Let's give some reasons why. Let's understand why her plan won't work. Then we have to find from these specific viewpoints. So then it was firstly explained the time of the city had ended as far as Gentile level, and as far as tabernacling level, because tabernacling was then laid waste. When we've reached 2009, a couple of situations had taken place. Tabernacling is becoming tabernacling, and the Gentile level had shifted from deceit, devilish, to dragon. So we are during the time of precision. That's why then the angel said knowledge would increase. So then, as we understand this topic, let's say we are in 2009. Knowledge has increased. And then we've shifted from deceit to the dragon time, and tabernacling is returning. So there are a few areas going on. We understand deceit because the cities of the Mashiyach were not around. Then we find then the time of restoration, explaining of tabernacling. Then we find time of the dragon, explaining then obviously the precision time, where we find ourselves precisely doing trade. When do you have in your mind an increasing of knowledge with the precision of the market? What can you understand? If you have a lot of information, how can you control the information? You have to have equipment. You have to have a computer. So as far as the angel was concerned, related with the time of the Gentiles, Gentile level, dragon time period, time of precision, then the Creator has decided 2009 of our calendar, or 7009 per the Creator's calendar. We find it was enough knowledge in 2009 to do the work of the Gentile level of the restoration period. So what we should lock our minds and never move is 2009 technology was then enough to do the work. So let's explore the area a bit. Should we improve the technology from 2009? We should, but not very much, because what was determined in 2009 was already enough for the work of the Gentile level during the time of the dragon period. So then, should we be concerned with the new telephones? No. Should we be concerned with new technologies as far as computer is concerned? As long as the new computers, they have a matching with a broadband, so then the transactions can be done fastly and more securely. Absolutely. Any other technology? Non-relevant. So let's try to understand where the education then enters in the situation. Computers, they are already known. We understand hard drives, you can get two options. Either movable hard disk, or you can get solid state. A simple computer with a decent motherboard, with a standard organization of, for instance, a CD drive, and then standard front panel, standard system, for instance, Windows, the most popular, and a 5-decker or 5 decks or 5 levels of 2 terabytes, either with solid state or movable disk, should be more than plenty for what's coming. So then, when we understand technology goes as far as having a nice CPU with these characteristics, obviously we would have then some extras related with the fast broadband, because each person is becoming a banker. Each person is becoming a CEO. You have to have a computer fast enough so then you can do your work. So then technology is done away with. There is not a requirement for more technology. It is redundant going beyond this point. Computers already know, technology already knows. Then you have to have a broadband and then set aside the computer. Then what can we understand of education? It's very simple. The Mashiyach gave us the answer. In the near future, the freighters of the earth are in charge. How do you determine education? Then you understand freighting and what it takes to get freighting going. Obviously, a person would line up education with the lining up of the freighters. What do you understand of freighters? You understand of ships. You understand of ships construction. You understand of ships diesel engine. You understand as then painting. You understand as docks and harbors. And the basic understanding of ships as an area of education. The second is then automation of ports. What can we expect from the near future? Until the Chinese system comes and becomes available, we must update our ports. Then the question is, since we understand what it takes for the education of the future, would it be valid to spend thousands upon thousands, 6 digits, in areas of education non-relevant? That's why the Australian system spending so much money in what they think is the best truly is not, because it's not objective. We are speaking of hands-on, on-a-job type of understanding of industry. What can you expect? You expect mining equipment because of Africa. Africa is the southern kingdom. China is the eastern kingdom. Soviet Union is the northern kingdom. Those are the big shots, you may say. But we have also to understand the next situation. Brazil, or the Amazon, is replete with minerals. So then start understanding. Africa, raw materials. Northern Brazil, raw materials. What can you understand? You can understand this. There is a road on the northern side of Brazil, namely Trans-Amazon. Runs from east and west. So let's understand where it is going. To the right is the Atlantic. To the east is the Pacific. Or I should say, to the right is then Atlantic. To the left is then Pacific. So then, when you begin to think, you have to have a road that links then the Atlantic and the Pacific east-west. Okay? Then north. You want to have this road going north, linking up the northern countries of South America. Then you branch away from the main road east and west. So then minerals, mining can get to the ports. So then you understand mining equipment, you have to understand fueling. Areas of education, mechanics, diesel mechanics. What can you understand in the future would be a great chance for great students? Vocational learning centers. Where do you teach them? What is then an engine? What is then a diesel engine? How do you fix a diesel engine? What is the other understanding of the Kingdom of the North coming with much equipment? We are aware of the Soviet equipment is very simple and very robust. Very, very simple. Then you learn the simplicity of diesel engines. Another area of education. The other area is then the construction of roads. So each of them are related with freighting, because the Mashiyach said the freighters of the earth are in charge. Another area, refineries. What do we understand of refineries? You have to have a port. There are categories of crude ships. VLCC, ULCC. Those are very popular. If you are going to build a decent port, you have to think in a certain understanding. To make it real fast, you have to have a port where then you drive the ship through. They are no longer docked sideways. It takes a long time. You have to have drive-through areas where the ships, they simply come, they point to the direction, they shut down the engine, and then goes very slowly, guided by the tugboats. They dock, they release their cargo, and they move on straight forward. So what can you understand? People related with knowledge on how to update ports, how to make docking easier, because it's related with freighting. So then you don't waste your time, for instance, thinking a whole situation of a new learning system. No. You understand what the Mashiyach has said of freighting. You start with the vocational learning centers. Much cheaper, straightforward. Not only this, if you are smart, learning centers are directly related with the market. Then you make a deal with factories related with such a market. So when you, for instance, if you are going to update a port, you understand you have to have cement. You then converse with the cement companies. You explain, we want to expand our learning centers, make sure they understand the importance of cement. Then iron material. And then what it takes to get cement mixture. You ended up then receiving a bit of funding from these companies only to get the name of their products. Because then the students, they can learn the area important, so then they can update the ports. You have to understand, if you are studying architecture, but then the point is not started from A to Z, is to update an existing port. Then you don't go as far as re-establish the entire educational system and spending lots of money for no reason. We have to be practical. Then we find the same junkie of the 1,000 years of deceit. Then, let's try to refurbish the entire learning system. There is no time for it. You have to take bits and pieces of what the end of the situation is. The Mashiyach said the freighters of the earth, we already take his word. and we then retract from it in steps of formation. In our time we know what to do. But then if countries, they are not doing their homework, they are not understanding, then the Chinese system is coming. And not only this, prior of its coming, what can you deduce from South America, Brazil, and then the road east and west, and then the road going north? You understand many ports on both sides of the ocean. Then you have to understand it has to have lighting system, electric poles, substations. You have to understand coal. You have to form then technicians, straightforward, simple technicians to take care of those areas. Then what else can you understand? The Chinese, they have a huge market coming. What can you deduce? You have then Africa and you have Brazil. As we are understanding, the new Panama Canal is going to be done next year. What can you deduce? What can you understand? Obviously, the Asia market would be interested in Central America and in Panama and make then a trading post, making a Singapore port of the Americas, where then those resources from northern Brazil and the northern countries, they can simply place them on ships, and then there is an exchange done in Panama. Until the roads east and west then can be done. By then, a long time. At the moment, they have to have ports on the right side Atlantic or left side Pacific, so they can get the ores to the factory, get smeltered, and then sent to China for manufacturing. So what can you deduce? Then you have the Panama Canal being done next year. Very simple situation. They can flat both sides of the canals and then use the water as the elevating system. Then sections of containers bound together as a box. You simply open the side of the ship and use railroad tracks. God Almighty, you open the side of the ship, uses the elevation of the water, removes, for instance, 10, 20, 100 containers at the same time. Goes straight to the distribution center. And then another section, and then another section, and another section. And then breaks away another area. He does not even have to have cranes. He uses the water elevation. And then afterwards, the distribution center then places them on other tracks, and then they get loaded on the ship the same way. Simple ideas, but then very nice and very simple so they can understand what it means. So then we understand what is taken then, the understanding of the South, resources, we understand Africa, then resources, and then the whole education system as per the demand of the existing technology. Why then governments are wasting so much money? Areas that is not required. At the moment, the gaming industry is not required. At the moment, what is required is having a decent set of technicians. Straightforward, simple to do the bulk. But then, governments, they have this eternization in their minds. Understand, eternization means as if this world would last forever. They are so overly educated, they become ridiculous. And a lot of these politicians, they don't have industry background. They were then from families very nice families, educated families, but they don't have the know-how. They don't know how to grab what it takes to get, for instance, put up a fence in the backyard. They don't have the mechanics. They only have the theory. And then the country pays for their bad decisions. And the Mashiyach said, the freighters of the earth. The Mashiyach is the person giving them the direction. Then we simply retrieve from it very gradual as far as coming to our time. So then we don't waste our resources in the areas of education. It's not even required the updating of it. You only do a retrofit if the standard learning is being a problem. Get rid of the standard learning. Place the people then in an area, in a depot, with many areas related with the freighting. Let them pick what they want. From then on, you place them in a place where they can learn this specific area hands-on. If a person then does not know to do the mathematics, then place aside the study of mathematics only to get the job done. Because we're speaking at technician level. If there is more complicated problems, then you get the next size. Then you get a licensed person with 10 years of experience. Then they draw the map of what has to be done. Give it to the technician, let them take care of it. But then our society has decided everybody should be a higher up. And then they find no qualified people in the technician level to get the job done. So everybody with a piece of paper working around as a big shot. Watch United States. We've become a piece of junk of a country because so many people were then brainwashed they should be big shots. So everybody wants to be a big shot. And then you find a factory, for instance, used to work for a company. Not even the manager knew what a resistance test was on the equipment. You find many big shots with a piece of paper walking around and drinking while at work. You know, freshly brewed, walking around, watching other people work, and the damn person doesn't even know how to do a resistance test of the equipment. And then, not only this, there was a couple of recharging units for electric cars, and then I asked my friend, what do you do when the machine then breaks? Oh, we swap around boards. And I said, why don't you do a resistance test first? He didn't know what it was. So the education system coming from these people without industry background, they ended up hiring people with theory in their heads and they don't know how to do the work. Not only this, then they've lost a huge customer of theirs because they don't know how to work. But then these people with so many PhDs without manufacturing background, they get in these higher positions and they screw the country because they don't know what they are doing. So then, during the company was over there working, and asked, do you know how to do resistance test on the equipment? He thought it was the ohmic resistance of cable. I say, no, it's resistance of the equipment. You have to take the voltmeter or then the ohm meter, either with the unit on to test voltages or with the unit not on to test resistance. You take the black lead, you place on the frame of the unit, and in a specific points you have a chart with a specific resistance. Then you find those resistance points. You verify the chart, any discrepancy of resistance, you know where the problem is at. They did not know. And I was saying to myself, is this company in the United States? God Almighty, then I checked the map. It was. Austin, Texas, United States of America don't know how to do resistance test of the equipment. Amazing. And then they go around changing boards of the equipment. You have to take it apart, the wiring, remove the boards, remove the screws. You have to remove the entire board out of the unit, place a new board, and you don't know if it is going to work or not. It might be another area of the equipment causing then this new board also to fail. So then not only you replace the board where they think the problem is, but they don't know where the problem is at. So you place a brand new board, tune it on, and burns the board again. How stupid! I watch their faces going around and going every direction, and they don't know how to test the equipment. Solderings were absolutely junky. People don't know how to solder. They don't know how to measure the temperature of the soldering tip to make sure that it's a decent solder. Untested, goes in the equipment, and then fails. Absolutely crazy. America has become crazy. Ever imagine these big shots walking around, big shots, and then drinking, and then, trying to be important? What do you do with the equipment if it fails? Oh, change boards. What about the resistance test? And they don't know what it was. My desire is to find this son of a gun and say F word very loud and very clear on their faces. Don't you understand the basics? But no, they were brought up as being big shots. Do you understand? The government has brainwashed the people. Each person should have a university diploma. Understandable. The problem is you don't have technician level also to have then the work done properly. Then everybody wants to be a big shot and no technicians to do the work. Then you find precisely what the company was going through. Big shots around, walking around, and the technicians don't know what to do. Then to remediate the problem, I had to come home, get my resistance charts from my radios from the 60s. I was not even born in the 60s. But I had to take my copies of the 60s from my radio's resistance test chart. Had to bring to work. Then I showed my friend, you know what this is? Had no clue. No idea how to test the equipment. Not only this, the manager did not have not even a copy of it. They did not even know what it was. So let me ask you this. Do we understand why our country then is going down? Then we hire a president without any manufacturing background. But then, crazily, he wants then to improve our education, but then he wants to make every person a big shot. Same problem. You place a big shot in a company without knowledge, then they expect then the technician to know every detail. And technicians must be led. But then you have people from the higher ups without knowledge. They don't have the knowledge. And they give you the condescending, authoritative, junky spirit upon how do you do the job, and they don't know. No wonder they lost a very important customer. Because the company does not know how to do the work. Not only this, then a great number of the people none speaking English. So there I was, walking in the midst of a company in America, speaking English, and people not understanding English. You speak with people over there, do you know how to do this job by the American standards? Didn't even understand what I was speaking in English. Incredible. Then they hire a president with absolutely no industry background. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Then the idea is print out more money. And then Japan is already printing out more money to match up. They're going to get ruined. And then these politicians, they get all because of reformed education system. No! You simply update your vocational learning centers. The ideal is to have one higher up per 10 technicians. You have to have a competent technicians and then a higher up per 10 with a telephone on the side every time. No, but then everybody wants to be a big shot. The job doesn't get done. That's why America is going down, and the IMF already said 2 years earlier. 5 years from 2 years ago, if we don't get our taxation system or then our monetary system is stabilized, our monetary system is going to get ruined. No wonder. We are not producing. We don't know how to work. But then the politicians, they want to make everybody big shots. Big shots in what area? Stupid as they are. Brought up in a nice family, went to university, doesn't even know how to put up a fence in the backyard, from a nation that was generated and then also prospered because of industry. And companies don't know how to make nice plan to test equipment. No wonder the companies are going to say, no, heck with you because you don't know how to make equipment. And then I was thinking to myself, how can a company hire a manager without knowledge of the equipment? CEO is retarded. Then the manager is another retarded. And inspectors are retarded. What else can you say? Bringing a resistance chart from the 60s because people at work in 2012 don't know how to do resistance test. And then a recharger that should take maximum of a half hour to find the problem, they would spend hours replacing boards. And I was thinking to myself, these people are retarded. They are American workers retarded. They don't understand the basics. And then the manager doesn't give a crap, walks around with drinking his freshly brewed. Acting as big shots, you know. The government wants people to learn and be big shots. They are big shots. Then the job doesn't get done. Then our economy ruins. So then the Mashiyach said the freighters of the earth are going to be in charge. What do you understand what to do with education? You line up your education with what the Mashiyach said. But you do not want to make big shots every time. You want to have vocational learning centers related with industries in line with freighting. And make sure they learn properly. That's the danger of hiring PhD people, because sometimes they make no sense. They have so much education. The more educated, the more stupid they get. They become idiots. Much rather hire a person with industry background that knows the work. It knows how to make decisions after a person becomes a technician. Then he spoke with another friend of mine. He was talking about his work environment. Oh, we have a machine over there. They can watch a PC board, electronic board, and then you can watch the waveforms of heat. Interesting. Why do you do this for? Oh, because you can find then where the fault is at. Understandable. How do you have then a transistor that the normal understanding of a transistor is some of them they have high capacity where then they get warm. 2N3055 is one of them. And many others. Resistors, they get hot. So what you are saying is, because people are ignorant, they don't know how to use a scope, they don't know how to read waveforms. But then again, managers are stupid. They don't know anymore how to use a scope. They don't know anymore come up with a very nice plan with the equipment. These are the waveforms you should read when you test this board. They don't know how to do it because they are so big shots. Then they go straight forward into production, and then they buy these ridiculous machines. And a person doesn't know what's wrong with it because they don't know how to use a scope. So they can't determine if it's over amperage or if it's over voltage somewhere in the system. You don't know where the problem is at. Whereas if you have a map with the specific waveforms of many parts of the circuitry, then you can find the problem. Myself, with the knowledge of tube radios, I have more sense in my work than managers of a company. It is incredible. And there was a friend of mine working frantically in these recharger trying to find the problem. And how do you do? Oh, I'd only change boards around. Okay, have you tested these electronic boards from the factory? Oh, they don't let us do anything with it. Well, wait a minute. Did you test these boards when they came? No. How do you know the boards are not defective? You have to have a piece of paper. You have to have the board in front of you. From specific points on the board, you have to have a resistance test done. Then you have to document what's normal from a working board, so you have then as a model for the rest of them. America has become ridiculous. No wonder why 12 digits the investors are dumping U.S. stocks. Because America does not know how to work. So then, in the midst of the work environment, there is a problem over there. The customer is waiting for the recharger. They don't know if the board works. They are replacing components and equipment. They don't know where the problem is at. But they are then swap around the boards. So you take a brand new board from the box, expensive, you place on the equipment and then burns. Oh, wasn't the problem. Board is gone. In some of them, you can say $10,000 sometimes for the board, $10,000 for the board sometimes. But then they don't know how to test the equipment. They are stupid. So much knowledge. They have certifications and they don't know how to test the equipment. And then the conversation became stupid because not only my friend did not know what I was talking about, then it became very uncomfortable. And then I kind of glanced at him, so you don't know how to test resistance test of the equipment. I had to show him how to do it. I had to show him, you take the negative pole of the multimeter, you place it on a frame. Then with the unit on, but not energized, you take the red lead. Then you placed this point, this point, this point, this point, this point, and you write it down. Was this done before? No. How are you going to know the parameters? Then the conversation became ridiculous from then on because I was speaking with a dumb person. God Almighty, you were born in USA, you speak the language, and then you don't know how to do this? Where did you get your certification from? You are dumb. You have to understand, you have to fix the equipment, you have to have parameters in front of you. You remove a board from there, prior to placing another board, you have to test the rest of it. Then when you place a board, you know it's not going to burn. Simple parameters of a tube radio. And I had more sense than the manager. So if you don't know technical information, this is what it means. If you talk this with a politician, they would give the glance at you because they have no idea what you're talking about. That's why governments are going to be out of the game. Do you understand? Now you understand why the Mashiyach said the flaters of the earth are in charge. You have to understand your work. Because governments are no longer part of the game. The governments are going to be in line with the freighters, and if the government does not know how to do the job, they are fired. Because governments are non-profit organizations. Since they don't produce, they don't know how to do the work, they are fired. The freighters simply don't want this politician because he's incompetent. Hire a person that knows how to build roads and how to make a schedule and how to make a map, topography, and build a road. So because I knew so much of my job, then after 10 days of a nice work, then came the reduction of people. Was one of them did not have any more job. And there were people over there not speaking English that maintained their jobs. So then, stupid then complements stupid people. Because when you are straight, honest, and then simple, people get uncomfortable. Not because they think themselves higher, it's because they are plainly stupid. And since the whole country has become stupid, when they find a bright person with the basics, only showing the basics, then they get uncomfortable. Because they got used to being stupid. That's our government, enjoying each other's incompetence. That's why our government doesn't work. You hire these people without knowledge, they go over there and they play around, and they enjoy each other's incompetence. So the whole country became a huge area of incompetent people. And they cling to stupid and incompetent. So then, I was thinking to myself, you have this product, the customer is waiting for this product, you have no information on how to test the equipment is damaged, and you don't know how to fix it. Swap around boards. How do you understand you don't have a short with the frame of the unit? They don't know how to test. So they replace components until it works. But then, it works, but then If you have a problem with a wire, because you have to replace a board, you have to change the positioning of the wires, but then sometimes the short is there yet. And you think then the board takes care of the problem when it's a short. When you place the board back in place, sometimes the short is very near the frame, then the unit gets shaken around, and then the problem starts, because they have not found the problem. And then the quality controls drops, and then the customer say, you know what, you do a piece of crap of a job. Lost a customer. Because the workmanship is a piece of crap. Now, do you think our president, where he should not be president because his birth certificate was false, do you think himself not a heavy industry background? Do you think he can turn around our country? You are out of your cranium if you think he can. Because he won't. He's going to try to find another novel after these couple of farts over there in Boston. He's going to make a novel out of it and throw as much money as he can to become a hero. Not discrediting and diminishing the people that were hurt. That's not the point. The point is, the objective is regulating our taxation system. Because the Chinese system is coming shortly, and we have to make sure we are taxing parcels properly, because the Mashiyach said the affairs of the earth are in charge. So what is the objective then? The objective is making sure we understand. Every person, when they are, for instance, on eBay, let's give the example, the eBay. So treat eBay as the Chinese system. But not only you can have for sale your products, or you can purchase, but you can also invest. Only imagine yourself with an icon over there, investment. When you click on it, comes a list of items where you can invest. You don't invest in the company, you invest in the item. And then you watch regularly for some time how many people would purchase those products. As they do, you get a tiny share of it. So your balance over there, when you go to our PayPal, then is higher every time, and higher, and higher, bit by bit. But when you do your investment by 10,000, 900,000 products, then becomes larger. You get a nice share of it. That's what the system is going to be like. But then the problem is the government can't go over there in our PayPal and sneak around, can they? No, they can't. Because eBay is required to pay taxes when taxes are then due. But with the new system, you don't pay tax, because it's a foreign system. And your PayPal has rights of protection. The government can't go over there. How are they going to charge tax? You can have there 12 digits, 24 digits, and the government can't do a damn thing. The only way the government can charge taxes when the new system comes is via what people are purchasing. Then comes the parcel over there from China. Was it taxed? No. The government is screwed. When there is a label printed in any country related with our country, taxes must be paid instantly. Either if it is a store, individual, whoever it is, must be taxed. So a person can have 10, 20 digits over there, 24, 48 digits. But then a person has to do something with the funding. When they make a purchase, when a label is generated, then tax is gathered. That's why the Mashiyach said, in the freighters of the earth. But then at the moment our government is ignorant. There we are working around with this novel situation of those bombs. It's not even near as important as instant taxation. But then he has no industry background. His mind is not with industry. His mind is becoming a hero. Try to understand the makeup of the person. No industry background. He was a CIA agent for some time. He was a city organizer. Never worked in a factory. The natural understanding, he wants to be a hero. Of course he wants to be a hero. He doesn't know, he doesn't link himself with industry of our country. He never worked for it. So he's going to try to find another heir to become a hero. Oh, we're going to give every help we can ever give as far as finances, whatever it is taken then to find these people. It's not important. If we compare with our instant taxation system, it is not important. It should be given the proper care as far as trying to find who did this and give it to somebody else to handle the situation. And then work in our taxation system. But he never worked for a factory before. The natural understanding, print out more money until breaks. Then going to the Ozarks. Do you know what? Then the freighters have to pick up the tab.